Okay, Tim. So the technology, I don't know what's going on because we do this all the time. We've never had an issue. I did this the same way when we did ours. So I'm not happy with technology.
Yeah, I know exactly. And if I do this with mine, I don't.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know what the deal is.
Ilka, how you doing? Good to see
Okay,
you.
so we'll do it this way, and
Hmm.
I'll do some investigating because I want us to have some good time tonight.
Yes, definitely. And I'm thinking like maybe I should just unplug my headphones today and not even worry about that. But because like I wanted to put this thing down and let it sit, but I decided to use headphones and I'm like, yay, headphones, and then it's like, yay, not
I know,
headphones.
right?
All right, hold on a second. Let me see if
Yeah,
you can hear
it's
me.
weird. Yeah,
Okay, can you hear me?
yeah, you're great. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you just fine. So we're gonna go ahead and do this
Okay.
without headphones.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and jump into it. So, yeah, I'm so glad that you were available to do this. I'm really excited to have a conversation. And most of our FB lives around Visionary Empaths usually involve women, but I know that there are some stellar men out in the world like yourself who are doing amazing things and are deeply, in touch with the collective consciousness, who are deeply in touch with themselves and are here to do amazing work and to express. So, for those of you who don't know who Timothy Gay is, he is not only an exceptional musician, but he's also an exceptional light worker who does theta healing and has transformed his life through this healing work. He has his own practice, the Infinite Transition. You can join his group on Facebook. We'll drop an image for you. I'm sorry, a link down for you so that you can join said group. But he has been on an amazing odyssey for about 20 plus years and is now a new daddy to a baby girl and is just very intentional about creating peace and love and creativity with his work. And we're so very happy to have him on this evening. So, welcome, Timothy Gay.
Hello, hello, hello. How are all of you doing this evening?
Yeah,
You all
so
doing well? And
I
I see a
hope so.
couple people joining. So real quick, gotta shout out Timmy. How you doing, man?
Awesome. Awesome. So shout out to Tim's friends. Shout out to Alex. Shout out to Karen. Thank you, Steve, for tuning in. Lori, uh, my sissy, hey Bree, Leslie. So thank you all for joining us.
Phone. I
Uh,
knocked my phone down. Just
It's
trying.
all good. Look, the technology this evening, I don't know what's going on with the world, but I'm just so happy to have you, and so we'll just jump right into this.
Let's
So,
do it.
yeah, so for those of us who are not aware what an empath is, it's those who are highly sensitive to the thoughts, feelings, and emotions of others, and we are able to take it into our own body and experience it as if the other person's experience, as if their experience is our own. And so, Timothy, when did you first come into the awareness that you were an empath?
Whew. I think the first time I think I truly became aware of my empathic nature was probably when I was a child. Just even as early as I can remember, I just felt and just knew that I was different from every other person that I knew. Just emotionally, just mentally, all of that, just something that I had a complete awareness of, even as a very young child, just knowing that you're different. Something that you couldn't explain to people, but you just knew.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, one of the tools that many empaths use is a great gift known as creativity and art. And so, you're also a musician. So, if you can share with us how you have used music or how music has used you to manage the empathic gift.
Oh my goodness, that is a perfect thing to talk about because it's actually something that came into my awareness as early as yesterday.
Okay.
Um, and particularly because sometimes what we don't realize is that creativity is a way for us to release emotion. So there are many ways that we can release our emotions, things like working out are ways that we can start releasing emotion. And a lot of times with emotion, sometimes pent up emotion in particular, comes pent up tension. So things like working out, exercise releases that, but creative actions such as music are one of the easiest ways to start releasing that emotion. And for me, music was the thing that was the most natural. So um, I sang for as long as I can remember
Hmm.
one of my earliest memories came from me singing, and I ended up picking up saxophone when I was in sixth grade. So that outlet for creativity was extremely amazing. And of course, even with your creative gifts, you have that up and down. But music was something that has always been in my life, and even now, like you try to step away from it to do something else, and what happens? Your music comes back. So no matter what, it's
Mm.
always been a constant in my life. And even if I'm not actively playing, I'm always thinking about it. I'm always
Yeah.
thinking about writing music. I'm always thinking about playing music, even if it's not, something that if it's not other people's music, it's my own originals and vice versa. So it's always something that's just floating around in my head and something that's floating around my being. And it's a huge part of my life no matter what.
Wow. And I think that it's also important to note, especially for the empath, like you said, music is such an integral part of your life, whether you're gigging or not, it's just part of your life. And so for us burgeoning empaths, music is not just something nice to have. It is a necessity. Music is just such a powerful life force. And so, Tim, you're playing the saxophone, and I think well, one, I think that that's amazing because I feel like it's working so many angles for you because it's a woodwind, correct?
Yeah.
That is really helping the breath. So you're actually self-regulating as you're playing. And that's such a powerful tool for the empath is to be able to self-regulate. And you said you were a singer, and I think that it's also really good to know, dear empath, that you also want to strengthen that throat chakra, and singing is a great tool. Singing, gargling, and yes, yodeling are great ways to strengthen that chakra. So, Tim, you're also a theta practitioner, certified theta practitioner. If you can explain to people the power of theta waves.
Yes. So, the theta healing technique primarily relies on what we call the theta brainwave states. So, if you look at the brainwave states, you have beta, which is active consciousness. So, what you're in right now is the beta brainwave state. So, think of conscious thought, conscious action, conscious activity. Um, excuse me. As you begin to go down from that, you go to alpha, which is a relaxed state of being. So think about, for example, when you're just relaxing in a chair or reading a book, for example, your brain jumps back and forth between alpha and beta. Theta is what you would be in with REM sleep or deep meditation. Then further you go below that, you have delta, which is deep sleep. Once you go below, and that's usually obviously that's in and of itself speaks for itself. What we've discovered over the past 10, 12 years is a new brainwave state called gamma. Now, gamma is actually not a slower brainwave state, but even a very fast and actually much faster brainwave state than even in beta. But that's what we call heart coherence. So if you look up anything about Heart Math Institute, then we
Come
start talking
on,
about
that's
coherence
right.
and everything. Yep. Okay. So, okay, there we go. Yeah. So we talk about heart coherence, where everything is basically in connection with each other. Our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, everything just instantly manifests. Awesome. So when we talk about theta healing, using the theta healing technique, we are talking about, um, in particular, working somewhere between the theta, delta, gamma brainwave
Uh-oh.
state. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're driving down somebody's lane. So I've got my sister Hannah here. She says, "Okay, neurobiology. Love it."
Yes.
so you're
Oh,
jamming there. Yeah, you're jamming
all
on the
right.
run here.
I love it. I got you covered. It's all good. So, what we're doing in theta healing is we're actually using an altered state of consciousness. Basically, we're going between, we're utilizing focused thought, focused guided imagery, focused prayer, meditative states, basically, to create changes within the basically the neurological state. So, what we're looking at particularly is subconscious ways of being, subconscious belief systems, subconscious thoughts, subconscious feelings, and using this state of being, the theta brainwave state, or what we call connecting to all that is, to
Hmm.
change these belief systems on a cellular subconscious DNA level. And by doing that, we're going to the root cause of what's going on. So if you think about it, our subconscious mind is what's running us every day. These are the things that we're not aware of that are running us. So we have certain incidents in our life, such as like a traumatic event or an activity that leaves an imprint on us. That's the stuff that's naturally running us in the background. So, like, think about it. Like, anytime you talk about subconscious, like, think about things that happen automatically. So, like, you don't have to tell your body to breathe. You don't have to tell your heart to beat. You don't have to tell um, your muscles to move. You just do them. They're not automatic. Well, when we are things that are, our ways of being in life, we have a lot of things that are automatic too. And sometimes we don't realize where they come from or the impact in them that they have in our lives. So utilizing the theta healing technique, what we get a chance to do is focus primarily on the root causes of what's stopping us, what's limiting us, what's holding us back to achieving the things that we really want to achieve. So if we're looking
Mm.
for example, something that you're really passionate about, we're looking for true love, or we're looking for relationships. Um, what's a great example is what's the first relationship that we see? Usually a relationship with our parents, right?
Yeah. Come on, Imago. Let's go.
Yep.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm getting there. Sorry, I'm nursing I'm recovering from a little bit of a cold, so dry throat. Excuse me.
Oh, trust me, I had one for like almost a month, so I
Oh boy.
totally get it.
Yeah, so I'm probably gonna have to get some water in a second. But yeah, so
Yeah.
we're thinking about that. We're looking at the relationship with our parents, but also take a look at the relationship you see with your peers. If we're looking to find a quality relationship in our lives, but excuse me, the relationship we saw at home was bad, that's going to be our standard.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're looking to change that, you got to think, what do we have to look at? We have to look at the subconscious beliefs about what we believe about relationships.
Mm.
So that's really what I get to do. I get to go back and look at what was going on with your parents and their relationship and how that impacted you. What are the beliefs that you had about relationships, particularly when it came to your parents and you? So we get a chance to look at all of that. And then we get a chance to change those subconscious beliefs utilizing those altered brainwave states, which is awesome.
I think that that is totally awesome. It also, reminds me a lot of EMDR work. Um,
Ooh,
yeah, so I think as the empath in particular, because you're so sensitive, holding on to memory or occurrences,
yeah,
your threshold is a little bit lower, and you hold on to, especially if you're an unaware empath, you're holding on to energy that you may not even realize that you've absorbed, not just from your immediate environment, but secondhand from others. So the theta healing that you're talking about, I would say it's an imperative to clear out, so that as an empath, whether you accept your calling or not, you are a natural healer, you're a natural channel. Okay, you're a natural emotional tuning fork.
yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
the music and the theta healing and the dancing and all of those kind of like kinesthetic things are really great for you to get that energy out of your body, um and return. I like return to sender.
Yes.
Everything that you're mentioning, Tim, I think is just absolutely remarkable and amazing work. So if you could also, take us through, um, you know, So EMDR work. So EMDR work, Kathleen, it's a series of like green lights, and you go into your subconscious mind. And so think of it as a cargo net, and the little nodes that hold the cargo net are memories, experiences, and occurrences that need to be undone. So let's say, for example, you were 12 years old and you slipped and fell at a mall on a mall floor. Okay. And so linoleum in your future, you may become a little cautious and may not understand why you're a little skittish about walking across floors. Well, you were 12 years old, you slipped and fell. So now that's lodged in your mind and your memory. So you have a bit of a hesitation. That's kind of like on a superficial level. But let's say deeper, you were 12 years old and you had a significant trauma, either a parent passing away or maybe a molestation had occurred, it then informs um, the rest of your life and the other relationships. And so maybe intimacy becomes an issue for you. Um, Trusting people becomes an issue for you. So with the EMDR work, you can pull it up on YouTube. It's a green light that goes back and forth. And if you're in a therapist space, they have like these two nodes that you hold, and they go back to that initial trigger or that initial trauma and essentially wipe the slate clean. So once you unravel one of those knots in the cargo net, it then frees you up. It frees up space for you to create a new neurological pathway. But it's a faster way to sort of get there. On par with theta healing, if I'm not, you can kind of do it in. You don't have to keep going to the therapist. Like, it might take you 10 years to make one breakthrough, but with theta healing and the EMDR work, it sort of expedites the healing process. So Tim, please share.
Yeah. And I actually wanted to share one of the easiest ways to activate EMDR, believe it or not, is through journaling. So thinking about it, if you're using lights to go back and forth, think about moving your eyes back and forth when you're reading. Well, think
Mm,
about that also when you're writing. So you talked about earlier using my voice. Another way that you get to use your voice is through things like public speaking, which actually I have a speech at a Unity church um, in the middle of the next month. Oh boy, excuse me.
mm-hmm.
But also writing. So if you think about it, you got to get everything out. And so I talk about soul-centered journaling. And in soul-centered journaling, it's really just mind dumping, just
Yes.
getting things out, just
Yes.
getting it out, get it out of your system. And so dumping your mind is fantastic because all you're doing is just getting stuff out. No particular thing that you're thinking about, nothing in particular that you're writing about, just getting it out.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about mind, so think about soul centered drilling from that perspective, just getting a mind dump going.
Yes. And I think that is really important, Tim. And I love that you brought up journaling because of the eye movement, back and forth. Journaling before you go to bed is actually really great for you too, because that subconscious mind goes to work when you sleep. And so for the empath, you're naturally inclined to have more vivid dreams, more lucid types of dreams anyway. And I love that you brought up the mind dumping piece. And if you haven't already, I would highly suggest people get the artist's way. Even if you're
Mhm.
not necessarily an artist, quote unquote, the practice of writing every day, whether it's just, I am now sitting down and I am writing and I am writing in my notebook. If you have nothing else to say
Yep.
that. Like,
Yes. And it's funny because, yeah, absolutely. But see, that was the thing. Julia Cameron's whole point was just right. It doesn't
that's right.
matter what you're writing about, just right. And because you're just writing, you're actually getting into the practice of just getting something out and
I love
not
that.
having to worry about what it is.
Yeah.
And then there's no judgment behind it. It's like you said, I'm sitting down, I'm writing. You're actually one of my two lives today. I'm
Mm-hmm.
having a second one a little in a few more hours. So this is a warm up.
Awesome.
And it's kind of cool. And so yeah, it's really just about um being able to let things flow. So in the artist way, she takes you through, what is it, 12 weeks or something about that, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's a
Um,
it's a 12-week process of really just getting into the practice of practicing, whatever your art is. But I definitely feel like you said it's a soulful way of getting reconnected. And so whether you're an artist or not, I highly recommend, people get into the book because it's such a beautiful practice.
Absolutely. And the idea and really through writing you wake up your own creativity. So you get a chance to tap into your own empathic nature. Even if you're not a pure empath, it's really irrelevant. The idea is for you
That's
to
right.
tap into that creative force within so that you can use that to create the things that you want in your life. And whether it is something like, say, writing music or writing a song or writing a play, fantastic. But what if it's writing a business proposal? What if it's writing a work manual that you would never have been able to do if you didn't know how to put your voice into that? That's the whole idea of the artist's way. Utilize the creativity inside to work for the things that are
Mm-hmm.
natural for you,
Mm-hmm.
not for anyone else.
Absolutely. And I think that it speaks to the co-creation pieces. We are co-creators with the creator. And so it's heightening that already symbiotic relationship. And again, like you said, writing a business manual. I just think that having access to creativity, having the access to imagination is a natural liberator. And so we all want to be free. And freedom, of course, is going to look different for different people. But I do think that it's amazing, an amazing practice. And to your point, you're speaking at a Unity church. Statistically speaking, I thought this was very interesting that Unity churches, for people who attend Unity churches, they that are recovering from either alcohol or substance abuse, actually have a higher success rate of maintaining their sobriety.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's beautiful. And the Unity community is really cool. And I'm not really a churchgoer like I was when I was a child, growing up Catholic and no longer practicing that. But the idea of it being all encompassing, non denominational, and just accepting people where they are is
Mm-hmm.
very critical. Excuse me. I just met Marianne Williamson recently, who was coming through campaigning
Yeah, I
in
saw that on
Nevada.
your Instagram. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. It was really cool just to see that but for those who are not aware, she used to be the pastor at Renaissance Unity in Warren, Michigan, just outside of Detroit. And she spent a large period of her life there,
Mm-hmm.
raised her daughter there. Her daughter's now living in London. But for her, she wasn't, it was a bit of a challenging time there, but she loved the area. She actually was very happy there. And she was very happy raising her daughter there. But for her, it was time to go. So, I mean, she left. But the Unity Church, she still comes back and speaks actually quite often. She was there a couple months ago, I believe, through her campaign for her presidential campaign, and
Mm-hmm.
she came through Nevada recently. She's supposed to be back again sometime next month. So I'm looking forward to checking up with her again. I'm actually in the process of writing a self-care book, and I would really love to get her to look at it and to utilize that.
Absolutely. And so, the movement of you know, elevating our consciousness and coming into deeper awareness, you do need community because as an empath, naturally, well, one, um, not all empaths, but can be introverts. And being empathic can also be a very solitary sort of existence because, again, you're absorbing so much energy. You'd rather be alone, put your head in the sand. But I would encourage you to find either a unity church or find empathic communities in your hometown so that you don't feel alone. Um, you can join my community, which we're all non-denominational, trans-denominational. Religion doesn't have a play in it because there's Christian empaths, there's Muslim empaths, there are all types of empaths because also too we have to look at the science behind it. Your refractor neurons, which control your empathy. Like for example, if you see someone prick their finger, a non-empathic person may just see that and say, "Oh wow, that sucks," but the empath will look at it and cringe because that is a very painful experience. And again, that's kind of on the lighter spectrum of things. So looking at the pain or even the joy of others and feeling that euphoria of a joyous experience is also the beauty of an empath. So Be Intentional with Ber-Henda Williams is a space. Timothy Gay is also a resource for you, so you may want to reach out to him for some theta healing if there are some subconscious blocks or some conscious energy issues that you want to release, because I love that we're moving into a space where science and spirituality are catching up with one another. I think that that is awesome. And so check out Heart Math as well. For those of you who are on this timeline, there is amazing work there, using the heart almost as another brain. There are places that, especially when we're talking about emotional faculties, we can't use our intellect to process emotional experiences. So um, I just want to, encourage people to check out Heart Math, like you mentioned. They're a wonderful institute, and they have videos on YouTube, and and a yay you for the self-care manual that you have forthcoming. I'm definitely excited about that. So once that's done, let me know, and we can have you back on, and maybe you could read an excerpt from the manual and share it with our viewers. Because we would absolutely, love to have you, and maybe have a online book club.
Oh, that
So,
would be awesome. And I
yeah,
really,
let's talk about that.
re I also want to share with you, with the people who are watching this. If you want to look a little bit more at my work, you can look at me up here on Instagram. I dropped in a link in the comments below for the Infinite Transition. You can also just search up my page here on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at uh, Infinite Transition, Infinite Transition. You can also look me up on Instagram, The Infinite Transition, basically, and I'm also on YouTube as well. So I'm on other spaces. I'm actually going to be doing a live 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on Instagram with another person called Fasting Work Girl, talking about mental and emotional health during the journey of weight loss. So if you are interested and are up around that time, you can watch me and join me then. As for the self-care stuff, please keep an eye out. You can join my community here on Facebook, Unlock the Infinite Power Within. Um, and so I'll drop a link on that when we're finished, so you guys can check that out as well. So yeah, definitely there's more stuff, cool things coming with Ber-Henda and myself in the future. I had you on a few weeks ago, so you
Yeah,
had to have me on, right?
yeah, yeah. So, of course, Tim, I could talk to you all evening, but what are some parting words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our community here?
I think one of the best things is kind of something we've already touched on already, and that is you can't do it alone, but you don't have to. There's a community of people and there are a community of resources out there to help you with emotional well-being, physical well-being, mental, emotional, what I call the four pillars of health, which are really physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And there's something out there for everyone. Uh, excuse me.
No problem.
If you are struggling or if you need some help with anything, there's always a community of people to help, whether it be a unity church, a conscious community, whatever the case may be. We're always here to help. So don't be afraid to reach out and say that you need help. Just a quick tip, one of my self-care musts is asking for help. So if you are struggling in any way, do not be afraid to ask for help. There are people who want to help. You just need to be, it's just okay to reach out to them. Know that it's okay to reach out.
Absolutely. So, ladies and just on this line, thank you so much for tuning in. Um, we love having Timothy. He's definitely one of my favorites. So, please tag a friend, tag an empath, or even a highly sensitive person in this video, or anyone that you know that may be struggling with anxiety, depression, because the theta healing and the EMDR work and all of this is really going to be helpful, to them, in addition to, we don't take the place of licensed therapists, licensed counselors. They went to school for it, they have the certifications, but there are techniques and coping mechanisms to help you just deal with life. And so for my empathic souls, God bless you. Thank you for tuning in. Timothy Gay, thank you so much for joining us. So keep us posted on all your projects, and definitely that book, so that we're on the lookout for that. And definitely join the Be Intentional community, where I drop tidbits and nuggets um, for coping and awakening to your beautiful and wonderful gift, because such a time as this is requiring big hearts, um, consciousness elevation, because we're in some very interesting times where we're having very tenuous um, things that are happening, and we need level minds and people that are reaching for the higher thought. So we definitely need you right now to heal and transform our world. So Tim, thank you for all the work that you do in the world.
Thank
Adore
you so
you.
much. Oh, you as
Absolutely.
well. Thank
All
you.
right, so everybody tune in next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have Sophia, who is a amazing author and one of my IGC sisters, which is Inner Glow Circle. She'll be on talking about her awakening into her empathic gift coming from the islands. She is an island girl, so we're gonna enjoy that. And I've got some surprises coming up later this month with an amazing celebrity poet, so you all are going to have to stay tuned for that. But poetry and activism and being an empath, let us meditate on that. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll see you all next week. And don't forget, be intentional with Ber-Henda Williams to join our community. We are here for you. Tim, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Peace.